The stars above Earth had always been quiet. For thousands of years, humans had looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. On that cold morning in December, they got their answer. Captain Sarah Chen was drinking her coffee aboard the UEN Defiance when the alarm started screaming. She dropped her cup and ran to the bridge. Her boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. Other crew members were running too. Everyone knew that sound meant danger. She reached the bridge in less than a minute. The main screen showed something that made her heart stop. Thousands of ships were appearing in the space around Earth. They came out of nowhere, like ghosts becoming real. One moment, the space was empty. The next moment, it was filled with metal and fire. "How many?" Captain Chen asked. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. 3,000 confirmed, said Lieutenant Park. His face was pale. Captain Chen sat in her command chair and looked at the screen. The alien ships were huge. Each one was bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They were dark and covered with strange symbols. They looked like they were made to destroy worlds. Far away, on Earth, Admiral James Vance was in his office when the news reached him. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in many wars during his long life, but nothing had prepared him for this. He walked to the window and looked up at the sky. He could see the ships now. His phone rang. It was the president. "Admiral, what do we do?" The president sounded scared. "We wait," Admiral Vance said. "We see what they want, and we prepare for the worst." On the alien flagship, a creature named Admiral Kethras stood on his command deck. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His eyes were completely black. He had conquered over 200 worlds in his life. Earth would be 201. He looked at the blue planet below and felt nothing. To him, humans were just animals. They were insects that needed to be crushed. His species, the Valorians, had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. No one had ever stopped them. No one had ever even slowed them down. "Open a channel to the planet," Kethras ordered. "Let them hear their fate." His message traveled to every radio, every television, every phone on Earth. His voice was cold and without feeling. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Kethras of the Valorian Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You will surrender all your weapons. You will surrender all your leaders. You will become servants of the Empire. If you refuse, we will kill every living thing on your world. You have 1 hour to decide." The message ended. The world fell silent. Captain Sarah Chen listened to the message on her ship. She felt anger rising in her chest. She had grown up hearing stories about her grandmother, who had survived a terrible war long ago. Her grandmother had always told her that freedom was worth fighting for, that some things were more important than life. She opened a channel to Admiral Vance. His face appeared on her screen. He looked old and tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Admiral, what are your orders?" she asked. "Hold your position, Captain," he said. "Do not fire unless I give the command. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." She paused. "Admiral, there are 3,000 of them. We have 43 ships. The math is not good." Admiral Vance almost smiled. "Captain Chen, do you know what I learned in all my years of war? The math never matters. Only the will to fight matters. Only the refusal to give up matters. We cannot beat them," she said quietly. "Maybe not," he agreed. "But we can hurt them. We can make them remember us. And that might be enough." On Earth, people were panicking. Some ran to churches to pray. Some hid in basements. Some held their families close and waited for the end. The streets of every city were filled with fear, but not everyone was afraid. In military bases around the world, soldiers prepared for battle. They knew they would probably die. They did not care. They were going to fight anyway. Admiral Vance made calls to every leader on Earth. For once, all the nations agreed. There would be no surrender. Humanity would fight. Back on the alien flagship, Admiral Kethras was growing impatient. The hour was almost over, and the humans had not responded. This was strange. Usually, species started begging within minutes. They cried and promised to serve. They offered their children as slaves. They did anything to survive. But these humans were silent. Perhaps they did not understand the message, one of his officers suggested. They understood, Kethras said. They are simply stupid. They think they can resist. He ordered one of his destroyers to fire on a human satellite. The satellite exploded in a ball of fire. It was a warning shot. A taste of what was coming. Captain Chen watched the satellite die. Her crew looked at her with fear in their eyes. She stood up and looked at each of them. "Listen to me," she said. "Today might be our last day. But I want you to know something. I am proud to serve with every one of you. Whatever happens next, we face it together." Her crew nodded. Some had tears in their eyes, but none of them looked away. Admiral Vance watched the satellite explode from his office. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. It was time. He had kept a secret for 60 years. Every admiral before him had kept the same secret. It was the biggest secret in human history. And now, finally, it was time to use it. He picked up a special phone that connected to a hidden base on Mars. A base that no one on Earth knew about. A base that contained something that would change everything. "This is Admiral Vance," he said. "Authorization code. Prometheus rising. Wake them up." Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in tunnels that were older than human civilization, ancient machines began to hum. Lights that had been dark for 1,000,000 years started to glow. Something was waking up, and the galaxy would never be the same. The hour ended. Admiral Kethras stood on his command deck and waited for the humans to surrender. His officers stood behind him in silence. They had done this many times before. The ending was always the same, but no message came from Earth. Kethras felt something he had not felt in centuries. He felt confused. Why were these creatures not begging for their lives? Did they not understand what was about to happen? "Send another message," he ordered. "Tell them they have 5 minutes. Then we begin the killing. Ram, R. Ram, R." His communication officer sent the message. 5 minutes passed. Still nothing. "Interesting," Kethras said softly. "These animals have courage. Stupid courage, but courage. It will make their death more satisfying." He raised his hand to give the order to attack. But before he could speak, something strange happened. His sensors started making warning sounds. Red lights flashed across his bridge. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Admiral," his sensor officer said, his voice shaking. "The human ships, they are changing." On the screen, Kethras watched the small human vessels transform. Their hulls shifted and moved like living things. New weapons appeared on their surfaces. Energy readings that had been almost zero suddenly shot up to impossible levels. "That cannot be right," Kethras said. "Check your equipment." "I have checked 3 times, Admiral. The readings are accurate. Those ships are now producing more power than our entire fleet combined." Kethras felt something cold in his chest. It was fear. He had not felt fear in a very long time. Captain Sarah Chen gripped her command chair as the Defiance changed around her. The ship was alive, with new energy. Screens that had been dark for years suddenly turned on. Weapons that she did not know existed unfolded from the hull. "What is happening?" Lieutenant Park asked. "I do not know," Chen admitted. "But I think we just got a lot stronger." Admiral Vance's face appeared on her screen. The old man was smiling. "Captain Chen," he said, "let me tell you a story. 60 years ago, we sent a mission to Mars. They were looking for water. What they found was much more important. He paused and took a deep breath. They found a buried city. A city that was built millions of years ago by a species we never identified. Inside that city were weapons. Weapons so powerful that our scientists could not understand how they worked. We called them the remnant systems. Captain Chen listened with her mouth open. This was impossible. This was beyond anything she had ever imagined. We spent 60 years studying those weapons, Vance continued. We built them into our ships. We connected them to satellites around Earth. We prepared for a day we hoped would never come. A day when someone would try to take our planet from us. Why did no one tell us? Chen asked. Because it was the most important secret in human history. If our enemies knew about the remnant systems, they might have found a way to stop them. On Mars, deep under the red sand, the ancient machines continued to wake up. Energy flowed through tunnels that had been silent for ages. The beings who built these systems were long dead. No one knew who they were or where they came from, but they had left a gift for whoever found their city. They had left a chance to survive. On Earth, strange things were happening. Old satellites that everyone thought were dead suddenly came to life. They unfolded like flowers and pointed toward the alien fleet. Underground bases that appeared on no map opened their doors. Weapons that looked like something from dreams rose toward the sky. Admiral Kethras watched all of this on his sensors. For the first time in his long life, he did not know what to do. Admiral, his first officer said, perhaps we should retreat. We can return with more ships. Retreat? Kethras turned and struck his officer across the face. The Valorian Empire does not retreat. We have conquered the galaxy. We do not run from animals. But even as he spoke, doubt filled his mind. What had the humans found? Where did this power come from? Captain Chen felt something amazing happening. The remnant systems were connecting to her mind. She could feel her ship like it was her own body. She could feel the other human ships too. She could feel the satellites and the weapons on Earth. She opened a channel to the alien flagship. Her voice traveled across space and reached Admiral Kethras. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy. You came to our home uninvited. You threatened to kill us. You gave us 1 hour to surrender. She paused and looked at the alien fleet on her screen. Your hour is now over. We have decided. Earth will never surrender. Not today. Not ever. You can leave now and live, or you can stay and die. The choice is yours. Ruve. Admiral Kethras heard her words and laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. You are brave, little human. But bravery will not save you. You think your new toys can stop us? We have destroyed civilizations that were ancient when your species still lived in caves. You are nothing. Maybe, Chen said. But we are nothing that refuses to kneel. We are nothing that will fight until our last breath. And if we are going to die today, we will take as many of you with us as we can. Admiral Vance listened to the conversation from Earth. He felt pride swelling in his chest. This was humanity. This was what made them special. Not their weapons or their technology. Their spirit. Their refusal to give up even when all hope seemed lost. He opened a private channel to Captain Chen. Captain, you have done well. The remnant systems are fully active. Our fleet is ready. The decision is now in your hands. My hands, sir? You are the senior captain in space. You will lead the attack. I will coordinate from here, but you will be the one to pull the trigger. Chen took a deep breath. The weight of human history pressed down on her shoulders. Every human who had ever lived, every dream, every hope, every child waiting on Earth to see if they would have a tomorrow. It all depended on what happened next. I understand, Admiral, she said. I will not let them down. I know you will not, Vance said. Now show these invaders what happens when you threaten Earth. Captain Chen turned to her crew. They were all watching her. They were all ready. All weapons online, she ordered. Target the enemy fleet. Weapons online, Lieutenant Park confirmed. Targets acquired. Chen looked at the 3,000 alien ships on her screen. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about everyone she loved. She thought about the future that these creatures wanted to steal. Fire, she said, and the sky exploded with light. The beam that came from the Defiance was like nothing anyone had ever seen. It was pure white light, brighter than a star. It moved faster than thought itself. One moment it left Captain Chen's ship. The next moment, it hit the nearest Valorian destroyer. The alien ship did not explode. It simply vanished. 1 second, it was there. A massive vessel full of soldiers and weapons. The next second, it was gone. Nothing remained, not even dust. The beam continued forward. It passed through the empty space where the destroyer had been. It hit another ship. That ship vanished too. Then another. And another. 7 Valorian warships died in the time it takes to blink. Across the human fleet, other ships fired their weapons. 43 beams of white light cut through the darkness of space. Each beam found its target. Each target ceased to exist. Admiral Kethras stood frozen on his bridge. He could not believe what he was seeing. His ships were dying. Not in battle, not fighting back. Just dying. Disappearing like they had never existed. "Fire back!" he screamed. "All ships, fire everything." 3,000 Valorian warships unleashed their weapons at the same moment. The sky filled with missiles and plasma and energy beams. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet. It all flew toward the small human fleet. Captain Chen watched the attack coming. On her sensors, it looked like a wall of death moving toward them. Her crew held their breath. Some closed their eyes. The attack hit the remnant shields. Nothing happened. The missiles vanished when they touched the shield. The plasma broke apart like water hitting stone. The energy beams bent away into empty space. Not a single shot reached the human ships. Lieutenant Park looked at his screen in disbelief. "Captain, we took no damage. 0 damage." Chen let out a breath she did not know she was holding. "Keep firing. Do not stop until they are all gone." On Earth, Admiral Vance watched the battle on his screens. He saw his ships cutting through the alien fleet like a knife through paper. He saw the Valorian weapons failing against the remnant shields. He allowed himself to smile. 60 years of secrecy. 60 years of waiting and preparing. 60 years of wondering if this day would ever come. And now, it was here. And humanity was winning. His phone rang. It was the president again. "Admiral, what is happening up there? The reports are impossible. The reports are accurate, sir. We are winning." "Winning? Against 3,000 ships?" "Yes, sir. The enemy has no defense against our weapons, and they cannot penetrate our shields. This battle is already over. They just do not know it yet." Admiral Kethras knew it. He watched ship after ship disappear from his tactical display. His fleet of 3,000 was becoming 2,000, then 1,000. The human weapons were impossible to stop. The human shields were impossible to break. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Valorian Empire was losing a battle. "Retreat," Kethras ordered. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. We must escape." But something was wrong. His ship's engines would not respond. None of his ships could move. Something was holding them in place. Captain Chen felt the remnant systems working through her mind. The ancient technology was doing something new. It was creating a field around the battle space. A field that stopped the aliens from running away. "They cannot escape," she said out loud. "The system will not let them leave." Admiral Vance's voice came through her communicator. "The beings who built the remnant systems understood something important, Captain. When you face an enemy who wants to destroy you, you cannot let them run away. If they escape, they will come back with more ships, more weapons, more hate. The only way to truly win is to end the threat forever." Chen understood. This was not just a battle. This was a message. A message to every species in the galaxy who might think about attacking Earth. "Admiral," she said, "are you ordering me to destroy them all? Even the ones who are trying to surrender?" There was silence on the channel. Then Vance spoke again, his voice heavy with weight. "Captain, I am not ordering you to do anything. The decision is yours. But think about this. If we let them go, what happens next? They go home and tell their empire what happened. The empire sends more ships. Maybe 10,000 next time. Maybe 100,000. The war never ends. How many humans will die in that war? How many children will never be born?" Chen looked at her screen. The alien ships were trying desperately to flee. Some were firing at the field that held them, trying to break through. Others had stopped fighting completely. They were waiting to die. She thought about mercy. She thought about the value of life, even enemy life. These were thinking beings. They had families somewhere. They had hopes and dreams. But then she thought about Earth. She thought about the billions of people down there, watching the sky and praying. She thought about what would happen if the Valorians came back. "I am sorry," she whispered. And she did not know if she was apologizing to the aliens or to herself. "All ships," she said into her communicator. "Continue firing. Leave nothing standing." The battle continued. The human weapons never stopped. The white beams of light kept cutting through space. One by one, the Valorian ships vanished. Admiral Kethras watched his empire die around him. His mighty fleet was being erased. His soldiers were being turned to nothing. And there was nothing he could do to stop it. He thought about his home world. He thought about his people. He thought about all the species they had conquered and destroyed. Was this justice? Was this punishment for all the evil his empire had done? "Sir," his first officer said, "our shields are failing. We will be hit in the next attack." Kethras stood straight. If he was going to die, he would die with dignity. He would not beg like the species he had conquered. "Send a final message to the homeworld," he ordered. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them about the humans. Tell them to never come to this place again." The message was sent. A moment later, a beam of white light struck the Eternal Dominion. Admiral Kethras had time for one final thought before he ceased to exist. He thought about the blue planet spinning below. He thought about the small, fragile creatures who lived there. He had been wrong about them. They were not animals. They were not insects to be crushed. They were something else entirely. And now the galaxy would know it. The battle lasted 97 seconds. When it was over, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and stared at her screen. Where 3,000 enemy ships had been, there was now nothing. Empty space. Silence. The stars shone clearly again, no longer blocked by alien metal. Her crew sat in shock. No one spoke. No one moved. They had just done the impossible. They had destroyed the greatest fleet the galaxy had ever known. And they had done it in less than 2 minutes. Lieutenant Park was the first to break the silence. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking, "all enemy contacts eliminated. 0 survivors. 0 survivors. 3,000 ships. Millions of alien soldiers. All gone. Turned to atoms by weapons that humanity did not even fully understand." Chen felt sick. She had given the order. She had killed millions of beings. Yes, they were enemies. Yes, they would have killed every human on Earth. But still, so many lives, so many deaths. "Captain?" Lieutenant Park was looking at her with concern. "No," she said honestly. "I am not all right. I do not think I will ever be all right again. But we did what we had to do. We protected our home." On Earth, Admiral James Vance watched the final moments of the battle from his office. When the last alien ship vanished, he closed his eyes and let out a long breath. They had won. Humanity had survived. He picked up his phone and called the president. "It is over, sir." The enemy fleet has been destroyed. Earth is safe. He could hear the president crying on the other end of the line. Tears of relief. Tears of joy. The same tears that millions of people around the world were crying at that moment. How? The president asked. How did we do it? With weapons left to us by someone who wanted us to survive. Someone who knew this day would come. We found them on Mars 60 years ago. We have been preparing ever since. Why did no one tell me? Because the secret had to be absolute. Every president before you knew that telling more people increased the risk. We could not take that chance. The president was silent for a moment. Then he spoke again. What happens now, Admiral? Now we tell the galaxy that Earth is not to be touched. Now we make sure no one ever tries this again. In space, Captain Chen was receiving messages from the other ships in the fleet. Every captain wanted to talk about what had happened. They wanted to share their shock, and their relief, and their fear. Captain Marcus Webb of the Resolute was the first to speak directly to Chen. Sarah, he said, what did we just do? Those weapons. I could feel them in my head. It was like they were alive. I know, Chen replied. The remnant systems connected to all of us. They used our minds to guide the attacks. I do not understand how it works. But it worked. Do you think they will come back? The aliens? Chen thought about the question. The Valorians had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Would they accept defeat? Or would they return with an even bigger fleet? I do not know, she admitted. But if they come back, we will be ready. Admiral Vance contacted her a few minutes later. His face on the screen looked older than before. The weight of what they had done was pressing down on him too. Captain Chen, I want to thank you. You led our fleet with courage and skill. Earth owes you everything. I just did my duty, Admiral. No. You did much more than that. You made the hardest choice a commander can make. You chose to end the enemy completely, knowing that many would call it cruel. You protected humanity, even though it cost you a piece of your soul. Chen felt tears forming in her eyes. She did not try to stop them. How do you live with it, Admiral? How do you carry the weight of so many deaths? Vance was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. You carry it one day at a time. You remember why you did it. You think about all the people who will live because of your choice. Children who will grow up. Lovers who will grow old together. Dreams that will come true. You killed millions today, Captain, but you saved billions. Never forget that. On Earth, the news was spreading. People were coming out of their homes and looking up at the sky. The alien ships were gone. The shadow had lifted. The sun was shining again. In cities around the world, crowds gathered in the streets. They hugged strangers. They cried and laughed at the same time. Church bells rang. Car horns honked. For one brief moment, all of humanity was united in joy and relief. But not everyone was celebrating. In military headquarters around the world, leaders were asking difficult questions. What were the remnant systems? Where did they come from? Why had they been kept secret? Admiral Vance knew he would have to answer those questions soon. The secret was out now. Everyone would want to know the truth. He began preparing a report for the United Nations. It would explain everything. The discovery on Mars, the ancient city, the weapons that had saved humanity. He did not know how people would react. Some would be angry that the secret was kept. Others would be afraid of the power that humanity now controlled. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Today, he just wanted to rest. He was old, he was tired, and he had been carrying this burden for a very long time. In space, Captain Chen ordered her crew to stand down from battle stations. The remnant systems were going quiet now, returning to their sleeping state. She could feel them withdrawing from her mind, like a friend letting go of her hand. She walked to the window of her bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Other species were living their lives. Some of them probably knew about the Valorian Empire. Some of them had probably suffered under Valorian rule. What would they think when they heard what happened here? Would they see humanity as saviors? Or would they see them as a new threat, a new monster to fear? Chen did not have answers. She only had questions. But one thing she knew for certain: the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Humanity had announced its presence among the stars, and the announcement had been written in fire. 3 weeks had passed since the battle. The world was slowly returning to normal, but nothing would ever truly be the same. People looked at the sky differently now. They knew they were not alone. They knew there were dangers out there. And they knew that humanity could defend itself. Captain Sarah Chen stood in a large room at the United Nations headquarters in New York. She was wearing her dress uniform. Medals hung on her chest. She did not feel like a hero. She felt like a woman who had done a terrible thing for a good reason. Admiral James Vance stood beside her. He was also in his dress uniform. His gray hair was neatly combed. His back was straight despite his age. He had spent his whole life preparing for this moment. Now that it had come, he felt empty. The room was filled with leaders from every nation on Earth. Presidents and prime ministers, and kings and queens. They had all come to hear the truth about what happened. They had all come to decide what would happen next. The Secretary General of the United Nations stood at the podium. She was a small woman, with kind eyes and a strong voice. 3 weeks ago, she said, our planet faced extinction. An alien empire sent 3,000 warships to conquer us. They gave us 1 hour to surrender. They expected us to kneel. She paused and looked around the room. We did not kneel. We stood up. We fought back. And we won. Arden. We won. We won. The room exploded with applause. People stood and cheered. Flags waved. For a moment, all the old conflicts between nations were forgotten. They were all humans. They had all survived together. When the noise died down, the Secretary General continued. Our victory was made possible by technology that was discovered on Mars 60 years ago. Admiral Vance has prepared a full report, which will be shared with all nations. But today, we are not here to discuss the past. We are here to discuss the future. She turned to Admiral Vance. Admiral, please share your thoughts. Vance walked to the podium. He looked out at the sea of faces before him. These were the most powerful people on Earth, and they were all waiting to hear what he had to say. The Valorian Empire ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years, he began. They conquered hundreds of worlds. They enslaved billions of beings. And 3 weeks ago, we destroyed their largest fleet in less than 2 minutes. He let those words sink in. By now, the rest of the galaxy knows what happened. The Valorians sent a final message to their homeworld before they died. That message has been intercepted by many other species. Everyone knows about Earth. Everyone knows about us. He paused and took a deep breath. Some species will see us as heroes. We destroyed the empire that had oppressed them for thousands of years. They will want to be our friends. They will want our protection, but others will see us as a threat. They will fear our power. They will wonder if we will become the next Valorian Empire. They will ask themselves if we can be trusted. Captain Chen listened to his words. She had thought about this a lot in the past 3 weeks. Humanity now had a choice. They could use their power to conquer, like the Valorians had done, or they could use it to protect, to help, to build something better. Admiral Vance continued speaking. I propose that we send a message to the galaxy. A message that tells everyone who we are and what we believe. A message that makes our intentions clear. The Secretary General nodded. And what would this message say? Vance turned to Captain Chen. I would like Captain Chen to answer that question. She led our fleet in battle. She should lead us in peace. Chen was surprised. She had not expected this. But she walked to the podium and looked out at the world leaders. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about all the people who had fought and died throughout human history. She thought about the children who would inherit whatever world they created now. "When I was young," she said, "my grandmother told me a story. She said that humans are not special because we are strong. We are special because we choose to use our strength to protect the weak. We are special because we know what it means to suffer, and we do not want others to suffer like we have." She paused and collected her thoughts. "The aliens who came to our world saw us as animals. They thought we would kneel because we were afraid. They did not understand that fear makes us fight harder. They did not understand that threatening our families makes us more dangerous, not less." The room was completely silent. Every person was hanging on her words. "I think our message to the galaxy should be simple. We should tell them who we are. We should tell them what we believe. And we should tell them what will happen if anyone threatens us again." She stood straight and spoke clearly. "We are humanity. We come from a small blue planet called Earth. We have known war and peace. We have known love and hate. We have made terrible mistakes, and we have done beautiful things. We are not perfect. To those who mean us harm, we say this: remember what happened to the Valorian fleet. Remember what we can do. Do not test us. But to those who seek friendship, we say this: our hand is open. We want to learn from you. We want to share what we know. We want to build a galaxy where all species can live in peace." She looked at Admiral Vance. The old man was smiling. There were tears in his eyes. "We did not ask for this fight," she said, "but we will not run from it. We will stand among the stars as equals, not as conquerors, not as slaves, as humans, free and proud and unafraid." When she finished speaking, the room erupted again. Leaders were standing and applauding. Some were crying. The message would be sent. The galaxy would hear it. 1 week later, Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance as the message was broadcast. It traveled at the speed of light, spreading across the galaxy like ripples in a pond. Admiral Vance's voice came through her communicator. "Captain Chen, the message is away. The galaxy will hear our words." "What happens now, Admiral?" "Now we wait. We see who reaches out. We see who accepts our friendship. And we prepare for those who do not." Chen looked out at the stars. So many worlds out there. So many species. So many possibilities. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage. There would be challenges ahead. There would be new enemies and new friends. There would be wonders beyond imagination and dangers beyond fear. But for now, Earth was safe. Humanity was free, and the future was waiting. Captain Sarah Chen smiled. The adventure was just beginning.